Okay, so in this lesson, we're going to look at how to do percentage increase and decrease questions without a calculator. Let's look at our first type of example, which is a percentage increase question. A phone costs £300 plus 20% VAT. Find the total cost of the phone. It's worth us knowing that VAT is what's called value added tax. And as the name implies, it is a tax that is added onto the cost that we already had. In other words, we need to add 20% of the 300 onto the 300 to get our total cost of the phone. Let's go ahead and work out 20% of 300. Well, we're going to say that 100% is 300. And in order to work out 20%, we need to divide by 5 because 20 goes into 100 5 times. So I'll do my 300 divided by 5. A quick mental maths tip for doing this is to do 30 divided by 5, and that gives you 6. So therefore 300 divided by 5 must be £60. Find the total cost of the phone. Well, the total cost is going to be equal to the original amount, so that's the £300. Then we have to add on that 20% VAT, which is equal to £60 in this case. So that means the total cost is £360. Give this question a go. So a ticket costs £50 plus a 10% booking fee. Find the total cost. We need to work out that 10% booking fee. Well, remember 100% is always the number that we're starting with. In this case, it's 50. And to work out 10%, I need to divide by 10 because 10 goes into 100 10 times. So I'll do 50 divided by 10, and that gives me £5. So that's what the booking fee is. It's a 10% booking fee, but that corresponds to a £5 charge. And we want to find the total cost. So the total cost is going to be equal to the £50 plus, and in maths, that means we need to add on our £5 booking fee, which gives us a total of £55. Our next example is a percentage decrease question. A coat originally costs £140, but is reduced by 25% in a sale. What is the sale price? So what we want to do, we want to start off by finding the 25%. And to do that, we need to divide by 4. So we'll say 100% is equal to the £140. That's the original price. And we want to find out what 25% is. And to do that, we would divide by 4. So we need to divide our 140 by 4. Let's set up our short division to do that. 4 goes into 14 3 times to give me 12 with 2 left over, and 4 goes into 20 5 times. So 25% is £35. Then we just interpret the context of the question. Well, the coat originally cost this, but is reduced. So of course, we're going to be subtracting some number from the 140. It's reduced by 25%, so we're going to subtract £35 from 140. We'll say the sale price is equal to the original cost of the coat, that's the 140, take away the £35, and that's equal to £105. The other way to do this question is that we started with 100%, the coat was reduced by 25%, which means that we have 75% remaining after the reduction, and we could work out 75%. Well, given that we've already worked out 25%, let me just swap color. We could then scale up the 25% by multiplying by 3 to get it to 75%. And if we did that, that would also give us that answer of £105. Two ways really to do it. Do your 100%, take away your 25%, which is what we did the first time we did it, or work out 75% directly by doing 25% multiplied by 3. Give this question a go, and then we'll look at it together. A sofa normally costs £800, but Sam has a 50% off discount voucher. What is the new price? So let's work out what 50% of the sofa is. So 100% is £800. And to get 50%, we divide by 2, because 50 goes into 100 2 times. We divide our 800 by 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4, so 800 divided by 2 is 400. So we are taking £400 away from the £800. We'd say the new price is the original, so the 800, take away the 50% discount, which gives you 400. Now, if you notice here, the discount is the same as the sale price, and we should expect that because if we start with 100% and we've taken away 50%, It leaves us with 50%, which explains why the discount is the same as the sale price. Okay, we're going to look at a slightly harder example. It says a barrel of oil costs $60. The price of oil spikes by 47%. What is the new cost of a barrel of oil? We want to work out 47%. I'm just going to think of different ways that I can do that. And one that springs to my mind is to do 50% take away 3%. And that's the one I'm going to go for. Now, of course, to get 50%, I'd need to do 5 lots of 10%. And to get 3%, I'd need to do 3 lots of 1%. So 10% and 1% are going to be my building blocks. Barrel of oil costs $60. Well, that's my 100%. And we want to work out 10% and 1% because they're going to be my building blocks. To get to 10%, I divide by 10. And so $60 divided by 10 is $6. And then I'll take that down to 1%. I can go from 10 to 1 by dividing by 10, or you could go from 100 to 1 by dividing by 100. So $6 divided by 10 gives me $0.6 or 60 cents. Now remember, I'm trying to construct 47%, and I said in order to do that, I'd get 50% and 3%. So let's think about 50% to start with. Well, that's going to be 5 lots of 10%, and we said 10% was $6. It's 5 lots of $6, which is equal to $30. And 3% is going to be 3 lots of 1%, which we said was 60 cents. Do a little bit of column multiplication off to the side. 3 multiplied by 6 is 18, carry over that 1. 3 zeros are 0, add on the 1. So 3 times 60 cents is $1.80. And we want to work out 47%, which is going to be 50% take away 3%. So we want to do our $30, that's our 50% that we worked out here. We want to take away our $1.80, like that. We'll do a bit of column subtraction. So $30 take away $1.80, like this. And 0 subtract 0 is 0. 0 subtract 8 we can't do, and we would normally exchange from the units, but we don't have any, so we need to exchange from the tens column. And then we need to do a double exchange like this. 10 subtract 8 is 2. 9 subtract 1 is 8. And 0 subtract 2 is 2. That gives us $28.20. So 47% is equal to $28.20. We might be tempted to stop there, but the question's not done. It says a barrel of oil costs $60. The price of oil spikes by 47%, so it spikes by $28.20, which is what we've just worked out. What is the new cost? So the new cost is equal to what the price was before, that's your $60, add on the $28.20. I'll do some column addition off to the side, so 60, put down my decimal points, then add on my 28.2. So 0 and 0 is 0, 0 and 2 is 2, 8 and 0 is 8, and 2 and 6 is 8. So the new cost is $88.20. Pause the video and give this question a go. Right, let's run through it. A farmer has 450 sheep. He sells 32% of his flock. How many sheep remain? We need to work out 32%. In order to work out 32%, I'm going to work out 30% and add on 2%. And to get 30%, I need to do 3 lots of 10%, and 2% is 2 lots of 1%. So 10% and 1% are my building blocks, as they often are. The original number of sheep is 100%. That's the 450. And we want to get 10%, so we divide by 10, which is 45 sheep. Often my 5s are not very good. We then need to find 1%, and I can divide by 10 to do that. So I'll divide 45 by 10 to give me 4.5. I then need to work out 30% and 2%. So 30% is going to be 3 lots of 45, which you do your column multiplication, and you get an answer of 135. And 2% is going to be 2 lots of 4.5, which is equal to 9. Therefore, 32% is equal to 135 add 9, which is equal to 144. We'll go back to the question and make sure we're interpreting it correctly. A farmer has 450 sheep. He sells, so that means he's losing them, 32% of his flock, so he sold 144 of them. How many sheep remain? So we need to do 450 take away 144. And that gives you a final answer of 306 sheep remain. The next type of example we're going to look at is what's called a successive percentage change. And the word successive just means one after the other, so there's going to be 2 or more percentage changes in this question. £100 is increased by 10% and then decreased by 10%. How much is it worth now? Now this might seem like a trick question. If we've increased it by 10% and then decreased it by 10%, surely we must be back at the original, but actually that's not the case, and we'll see why that is in this question. The £100 is increased by 10%. Let's look at 10% to start with. Now remember, 100% is equal to the £100. So 10%, hopefully we can see that relationship's a 1-to-1, isn't it? And therefore 10% is £10. £100 is increased by this. So we will take our £100, we'll increase it by 10%, and that gives us this new value of £110. £100 is increased by 10% and then decreased by 10%. So at this point, it's then decreased by 10%. Now here's the reason why it doesn't go back to the original amount. We treat this £110 as the new starting point, in other words, as the new 100%. And we need to work out 10% to decrease it. So to do that, we divide by 10. So we divide our £110 by 10 to give us £11. And this is the reason it doesn't go back to the original, because when we first worked out 10% of 100, it was £10. But because we are now working out 10% of a larger number, 10% of £110 is £11. We take our £110 and it has been decreased by 10%, decreased by £11. And that takes us back to £99. Let's check we've answered the question. It says, how much is it worth now? The answer is it's worth £99. Pause the video, give this question a go, and then we'll look at it together. So £200 is increased by 50% and then decreased by 50%. How much is it worth now? So we say that 100% is the £200. And we want to work out 50% of that. Well, we divide by 2 to do that. So we divide 200 by 2 to give us £100. And the £200 is increased by this. So the £200 has been increased by £100 to give us £300. It's then decreased by 50%. So this is our new starting point. We'll say 100% is equal to £300 now. And it's going to be decreased by 50%. Let's work out what 50% is. Again, just like before, we divide by 2. So we divide 300 by 2, which gives us £150. And it's been decreased by 50%. So we take our 300, we take away our 150, which gives us £150. So that's how much it's worth now. Our last example is a little bit harder. Jonathan buys £400 worth of shares in a company. Over the next month, they rise in value by 42% and then fall in value by 25%. How much are his shares worth now? So we want to work out this initial rise in value of 42%. 42% is equal to 40% add 2%. And of course, 40% is 4 lots of 10%, and 2% is 2 lots of 1%. So 10% and 1% are my building blocks. We'll let 100% be equal to the £400. And we'll work out 10%. To do that, we divide by 10, so that's 40. And then 1% we divide by 10 again, that's £4. That means that 40% is 4 lots of 10%, so 4 lots of £40, which is £160. And 2% is going to be 2 lots of 1%, so 2 lots of £4, which is £8. That means 42% is 40%, 160, add on 2%, which is 8, that's £168. He buys £400 worth of shares. Over the next month, they rise, so they're going up in value by 42%, by £168. Let's work out the new value of the shares. So they were 400, they've gained 168, so they're now at £568. They rise in value by 42%, we've done that, and then fall in value by 25%. So we need to work out 25% of this. We'll say 100% is equal to the £568. And then we need to work out 25%. Remember, to do that, we divide by 4. So let's divide that by 4. Set up our short division, 5, 6, 8 divided by 4. 4 goes into 5 once with 1 left over. 4 goes into 16 4 times, and 4 goes into 8 twice. So 25% is £142. How much are his shares worth now? Well, they have fallen by 25%, and we've said that that's £142. They've lost £142 of value. To work out the final price of his shares, we'll take the £568 and we'll take away the £142. So 5, 6, 8, take away 1, 4, 2, 8 take away 2, 6, 6 take away 4 is 2, and 5 take away 1 is 4. So the final price of his shares are £426. Pause the video and give this question a go, and then we'll run through it. During an intense training block, an athlete increases his weekly running distance of 50 kilometers by 27%. The following week, he reduces his new weekly distance by 50%. How many kilometers does he run during his recovery week? So he's increased his weekly running distance by 27%. Let's work out that first. So 27% is equal to 25% add 2%. 25%, I can get that right away. 2% is 2 lots of 1%. So let's work out the building blocks of 25% and 1%. 100% is equal to the 50k. And then to get 25%, we divide by 4. So I'll divide 50 by 4. 4 goes into 5 once with 1 left over. 4 goes into 10 twice to give me 8 with 2 left over. 4 goes into 20 5 times. So 25% is 12.5 kilometers. 1% is equal to 50 divided by 100, which is 0.5 kilometers. And then I just need to work out 2%. So I'll double the half a kilometer to give me 1 kilometer. 27% then is going to be the 2%, add on the 25%, so it's the 12.5, add on the 1, so it's 13.5 kilometers. So we'll take our 50 kilometers and we're going to increase it by 13.5 kilometers, which gives us 63.5 kilometers. That's his new running volume after the increase. I'm going to clear the screen to get a little bit more space. So after the increase, he's got this new running volume, which is 100%, which is 63.5 kilometers. The following week, he then reduces his new weekly distance by 50%. We want to work out 50% of this. To do that, we need to divide by 2. So I'll divide my 63.5 by 2, set up my short division, 63.5, and divide that by 2. 2 goes into 6 3 times with nothing left over. 2 goes into 3 once to give me 2 with 1 left over. 2 goes into 15 7 times to give me 14 with 1 left over. 2 goes into 10 5 times. So 50% is 31.75 kilometers. Now, what we'd normally do is take these numbers away from each other, but if we think that he starts with 100%, he's reduced by 50%, which we know as a percentage leaves him with 50%. So the number I'm going to be taking away is actually going to be the same as what I'm left over with, and we already know the 50% is the 31.75, so his new running distance is 31.75 kilometers. And that's my final answer. If you're using our lesson booklets, you can now complete exercise 1. Thank you for watching the video.